Omer Ameimar. Ameimar said, we're on Daf Mem Omer Aleph, 27 lines in the top, in the middle of the line. Omer Ameimar Amafker Avdoi. Oh, you say Eved in Leitakana. Somebody who is mafkir, his Eved, somebody who declares his Eved ownerless, that Eved has no recourse to marry. Yeah, he's free. In other words, he's not owned by his master anymore, but Ein Leitakana. My time. Gufe Leikani. He doesn't own his guf. Isur Dikagabe. There's still Isur for the Eved. In other words, he's not totally free because he didn't free him with the star. The Sura Limotzi Makile, the Eved cannot give over. Cannot give over to what's it called? Give over to the Eved, the Isur. In other words, Mele if he had mominus, Mele if he had monetary ownership over the Eved, so then he would give him a star and he'd be totally free, or if the Eved pays him money. But because he declared him ownerless, he lost his control. He lost the control of the kesef. So therefore, he cannot free him anymore. He cannot help him with regards to this. We had something sort of similar. Rabbi Yochanan said, "Amafker avdi yotze l'chitz v'tzorch get shichur." And we had also Rab saying the same thing. If you're mafker avdi yotze l'chitz v'tzorch get shichur. So then we asked. Oh, yesterday we said. I think it was yesterday that we said if a ger dies and then his avodim gedolim go free without a get, that's because he died. But a Maimar doesn't fit with that din. Okay, a Maimar doesn't fit with that, with what we said before. So now we're going to analyze a Maimar's din. A Maimar says if you're mafkir avda, a mafkir avda, yoyse evidently took up. Okay. Omer le Ravashi, liya Maimar. Ravashi told the Maimar, va'omer ula omer Rabbi Yochanan, v'avchia baravan omer Rav echad zevechad zeyotzah l'cheres v'tzorch get shichur. L'cheres we have from ula in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, v'avchia baravan in the name of Rav, that if you're makdish or mafkir avdei, if you sanctify your eved, or if you're mafkir your eved, they're yoytze l'cheres, but they need to get shichur. So how is what you're saying fitting with what they said? They said tzorch get shichur, which means that you could give them a get shichur. So Maimar answers, Amar lei tzorch vein lei takana. It means you need, but you don't have a takana. So the Gemara says, Ikada Amri. Only if you die in the takana. Okay, that's a little better. If mace, because if you die. Oh, I think you're too close to the bar. I'll just turn off your mic for now because when you're too close to each other, the electricity reverberates. Okay, so the Ikadamri is better. I mean, easier on the Eved. Only if you're mafkav of a mace, I said they took on my time. A gufe leikonali sort of the kagabe doesn't own his guf anymore, but he still has isser. He's sort of the he's not moirish. He doesn't give over to his son the isser. What happened with the din of Rav Dimi Omer Rav Yechanan? If he said Al Yishtabdu Bo, we said basically there was a din when Rav Dimi said the name of Rav Yechanan that if a person who's dying says Al Yishtabdu Bo, that you should not. We had it a few lines before. If a person says before he dies that the shivcha should not be enslaved after I die, they force the Yershim and they write a get shichur. The problem was, Rabbi Ravasi said, what do you mean? He just meant Al Yishtabdu, but that you shouldn't be too hard on her, but he didn't mean to free her because what about her son? So he answers, the Rav Dimi too was a mistake because Al Yishtabdu just meant not to be too hard on her, not to actually free her. The only toast was that he said Al Yishtabdu, but if he would have said to Mishacher, her Amr B'Lashon Shechachinami, because mitzvah l'kaim divrei mes, it's a mitzvah to fulfill the words of the mes. Amarle, I know that Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda svirali. I hold like Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda, which was something else. To do kairos ruach.
I didn't want to be in a situation where there was none.
Yasala kairos ruach. Which means he said he didn't take away the koyach Yerushalmi. If he said al yishtabdu ba, that means he was mafkir from that moment. So then we would have a problem with the Amimer. But if you say to do kairas ruach, he's not doing anything now. He's making it fully dependent on the Yerushalmi. So they have the koyach. They're mayors the whole koyach. That's the way Rashi explains. Who diskarta the avdi dis davan lavde kechavim. There was a certain town of Avadim, and they were sold to a guy. And when the din is, if you sell your Avadim to a guy, they automatically, there's a din that they're supposed to go free. Kolu marvasa basroi. So they're adonim hashniim. The later masters stop their ownership. Also, look at the Ravina Omer Lahu Zilu Ahadre Abnei Ravasa Kamai Vichtav Luchu Gittin Dechere. So go back to your first master so that they'll write for you Gittin. Hashtar Shechor, a document of freedom. Omer Le Rabban and the Ravina Chum told the Ravina Va'omer Ameimar Mafkav the V'Meisei evidently took on it. Didn't Ameimar say that if you're mafkir, you're Eved and Abnei Marvasaichu. Sorry, it's Abnei Marvasa Kamai, the sons. The if you're mafkir, you're Eved and you die. So here also, the moment he sold it to the guy, it's as if he was mafkir his servant, because the Chum say you're not allowed to sell your Eved to a guy, and the sons don't have the koyach to write a shtar shechur. Amalu, I know Rav Dimi said I hold like Rav Dimi, then yesh leitakana, that you're able to tell your son to be mishacher, and even though you're saying to mishacher now, automatically the son also could write the shtar shechur. Amrulei that Rav Dimi tuusi. They said Rav Dima was a toast. It's only because it didn't say Lashon Shecha. Lashon Shecha Nami. Hilchas Ravina. Halachas Ravina, not like a Meimar. That you could, even if you're mafkir, you're Eved, and you die. Even if you're mafkir, you're Eved, and you die. Well, it depends. If you're mafkir, you're Eved, and you die, really they go free, like we said before, I think. But if you say like your sons should be meshacher her, even though you're basically being, even if it's starting off now, even if the hefkeris is starting off now, it's also going to be okay for your sons to read the shar shechur. Okay, so now we have a story. We're 4 lines on the bottom. There was a servant who belonged to 2 masters. One of them got up and he freed his part. The Chum are going to hear and they're going to make me give up on this servant. Also, Akne lebnei Katan. So he basically gave it over to his son. He gave his half to the son. Basically, there's a din that if you're chetzi meshucher and chetzi eved, if you're half eved and half freed, you have to be freed because you don't have anyone to live with. You don't have anyone to marry. So basically, he didn't want to be forced to free him. So he gave it over to his young son, to his katan. And a katan cannot be forced in Bezin to do anything. Sholcha Rav Yosef Breder Rava lekamid Rav Papa. Rav Yosef the son of Rava sent to Rav Papa. Sholach leikasherose ken yasal. He sent the story. He asked what to do. So he said, whatever he did, that's what should be done to him. Kula yoshel lebereishay. You'll give him his just reward on his head. Anan kimlam biyunuka the bakar v'dayat legabizuze. We know that a yunuka child loves money. Mekmina leapetrepes. We'll give him an apetrepes for the child to decide how much money this half of an eved is worth. Umekarkesh lezuza, and you'll jingle the coins. Basically, the apetroipus has to evaluate how much is really worth. But the katan, the apetroipus is not allowed to force the katan to do anything against the katan's will. So the Eved actually just has to jingle coins, and that will be enough to make the Kotan be happy. As long as he's happy, it's good. So you don't even have to pay the full value of the Eved. Because of the Gita the Chedes Hashman, you'll write a get the Chedes on the name of the Ben. But Rashi says because a Kotan is able to do by metaltalin, he's able to do a kinyan. He's able to do an act of acquisition. So as long as he's happy. And we're talking about even if the father's screaming, don't do it, the son will be happy with a little few coins that you're jingling by him. Okay. Someone who says, I made my servant Ben Chayrin free. Osui Ben Chayrin. He was made to be free. Harehu Ben Chayrin. He is free. Harehu Ben Chayrin. Harehu Ben Chayrin. That's what it means. Or if he says Harehu Ben Chayrin, so then Harehu Ben Chayrin, he's considered free. We believe him. He has nemonos. But if he says Esenu Ben Chayrin, I will make him free. Rabbi says, Kana, Esenu Ben Chayrin, I will free him with this shikhr. Chum say Loi Kana. It's a promise. So it's a promise in the shtar, it's nothing. Rabbi Yechon says that we're all talking about that you wrote it in the shtar. It's not just Aimber. It's not talking about that you're just saying it. You actually wrote it in the shtar, and that's a machlekes. When you write as son of Ben Chayrin, is it enough to make him free or not? According to Rabbi, it is. According to the Chum, it's not. According to Rabbi, it is. According to Chum, it's not. Yeah. Ton Rabban in a similar case. Someone who says, I gave a certain field to so and so. Or Nesuna Leflani, it's given to him. Harei Shaloi, it says, Harei Hi Shaloi. Harei Shaloi, in all these cases, it is his. But if he says that Nana Leplani, but if he says, I'll give it over to Pliny. So then Rab Meir Merkana V'cham Meir Leikana. Meir says he's kohen, the Chum says not kohen, according to the Bach, based on the Rif. It's also Rebbe. Rebbe says when you write at the Nana Leplani, it's enough. Rav Yechon V'chol B'shtar. It says we're talking about that it's Vishtar.
What's the logic of saying I will make him and that's as if it's already done?
Rashi says the Hochi Mashma Esenu Ben Chayrin B'Shichr Zeh. I'll make him free with this freedom Shani Meisel Le'achshav that I'm giving him now. But not Mukmini Lebe the Kosav Lehani Lishon B'Shtar Masal. We're talking about that you wrote these Lashonis in the Shtar and you gave it to him. It's only if you were koisev, ba'amir ba'alma, it doesn't work, says Rabbi Yechanan, unless there was a kinyan with chalipit. Unless you did a kinyan. If you did a kinyan, it's a different story. And by the field, also, you have to have a shtar matana. So the Gemara goes on, it says like this, Toner Rabbanim. Sorry, go ahead. Going on. Toner Rabbanim. Oimer Asisi Ploini Avdi Ben Chayrin Voimer Loyasani. Someone who says, I made my Eved a Ben Chayrin, the Eved says no. We're worried that he might have freed him through someone else. If you say I wrote and I gave it to him, and he's still an Eved. We're worried that he might have given it to him through someone else. But if he says, so the question is, who eats the fruit of the field? In the case of the field where he says he gave it to him, he says he didn't give it to him. So what happens to the paytas? The giver eats it. Rav says we put it in the hands of a third party. One is talking about a father. We by the Eved, the Matana will say, by the Eved, we'll say that he could be Zoichet again. If it's the father himself who says, I didn't receive it from you, so then the Noisen is able to eat the paytas. If it's the son who says Mishal Shalin, because it could be that he didn't realize that his father got the deal. Even if he thinks he's sure, there's no way of knowing. Okay, we'll do the next Mishnah. Eved shasoy rabbi apeseki lachedim. If you have an Eved that he made his rabbi made him an apeseki poita hikoy. In other words, he took a debt, he took a loan. His master took a loan, and he said, "You could collect. If I don't pay you with the money, you'll take my Eved instead." That's apeseki. And then v'shichuroi, then he freed him. Who freed him? The person who's owed the money, or the rabbi. So there's a machlekes in the Gemara who we're talking about. Sure, so then Eved chayiv klum. Really, the Eved just goes free. Because of Tikkun Olam, the rabbi will make him free, and he'll write a star on his money. But Shimon Gamliel says, "You're mishach." Okay, so now the Gemara analyzes what are we talking about, because you could explain it in two entirely different ways. It says the Gemara, who freed him? Is it the person who's owed the money who has the Eved as a peseke, or is it the Rabbi Harisha, first master? Rabbi Harisha. It's the first master. Sure, really, he doesn't know anything to the second rabbi. Just because he was an apeseke, it doesn't mean he doesn't know, and he doesn't know anything. It doesn't matter. He should go entirely free, like Rava. Rava says hektish. Let's say Rashi says, for example, if you made your cow an apeseke, he said this cow will be there to collect your debt in case I don't pay with the cash, and then you're makdish it, you sanctified it for the mizbeach. Chometz, if you gave over your chometz to goy as your mashkin. And also, if you free your slave, this overcomes, it undoes indebtedness. So if you made your shur an apeseke, if you made the chometz a mashkin, or if you made your Eved an apeseke, and then you're makdish the shur, if chometz overlove a pesach passed, and the chometz becomes forbidden, and you meshacher the Eved, it's mafkim b'dei shibud. Tikkun olam. What's a tikkun olam? Shema yimtzeinu b'shuk. That the guy who's owed the money might find this Eved in the shuk. So he's going to say, "You're my servant." We're on Daf Mem Aleph from Aleph. We force the second master to make him free. Because of Eved star al-dama, and the Eved will write a star that he owes the guy money for his value. So we do two things. The second master, the rabbi Sheni, makes him free, with the star, and he writes the Eved writes a star al-dama. So there's basically, he has two shtaris. He has two documents now. The first original document was from his real master, and the second document is from the guy who had him as an apeseke. Even though when he was freed, the guy should have no tinus, no complaints against him. Nevertheless, in case we're worried that he's going to see him in the marketplace, he's going to say, "You're my slave," and the guy's already free, and he has kids, and there'll be a problem with his kids. So we force the second rabbi, not really his rabbi, to write him a star, and then he owes him the money. Ela mishacher kaisef. Shimon Gamliel says the Eved doesn't write a star for his debt, but the mishacher does. The person who freed him, the Rabbi Harishon, owes the money. He's the one he made him an apeseke, and then he freed his slave. So of course the mishacher is the one who's going to have to write a star. Shimon Gamliel is saying is very logical. Allah chazak with Shimon Gamliel. But my kamifli, what are they arguing about? But mazik shibudesh l'chavera kamifli. If you're mazik, if you damage the indebtedness of your friend, so he had a hold on the slave, and you freed the slave, so you were mazik the shibud. The mar sovar chayev, umar sovar potter. One opinion is Chayiv, Shimon Gamliel holds chayiv. You're mazik shibud echaveda. You freed the slave, so you're chayiv. You owe him the money. And according to the Chachamim, Potter, Allah Chazak Shimon Gamliel. Itmar Nam is also stated. We have a Amaraik argument, a Amaraik statement. Mazik shibud echaveda. Yibanu lemachlekes from Shimon Gamliel v'Rabbana. Okay, so again to review, when we say Mishach B'Shichraroi is talking about Rabbi Harishan. He freed him. He undid the shibud, the apiseki of his eved, so that we're koifenis Rabbi Hasheni, the one who had the eved as the apiseki because he was owed money to free him to write a star. And the eved will write a star on his value that he owes it to the. He's going to owe it to the Rabbi Hasheni. I mean, l'chayr, we're talking about only if the Rabbi Harishan doesn't pay his debt. Because if he pays his debt, I don't think he has any tinus, as far as I understand. Talking about that he doesn't pay his debt. So the Eved al Kol Panim will owe his value. Because he was an apiseki, and he's no longer an apiseki. Shimon Gamliel holds, no, it's the Rabbi Harishan who has to pay the full value. It's not the Eved's problem. It's not his issue. He didn't ask to be freed. The guy freed him. Well, maybe he did ask to be freed, but he didn't do this. He didn't make the decision. So Rabbi Harishan made the decision to free him. He was mazik shibudai, so he's going to be chayiv. Okay, so that's the first way of explaining the Mishnah. What's the second way of explaining the Mishnah? Ula Omar Mishichraroi Rabbi Sheni. The second rabbi was one who freed him, the one who had the Eved as his apiseke. He didn't yet take hold of the Eved. He didn't yet take ownership of the Eved. But he freed him right after he lent out the money. And the Rabbi Harishan, the real Rab, the real master, made him an apiseke. He freed him. Shuras Adin Eid Eved Chayiv Klum b'mitzvahs. Shuras Adin in the Mishnah means the Eved does not obligate it in mitzvahs because the second rabbi doesn't really have an ownership over him. Because he now is known as a free person, because of the Tikkun Olam, the first rabbi makes him free, and he writes a star for the money. The Eved will pay Rabbi Harishan his value. Shimon Gamliel says the one who was going to owe the money is the Meshacher. The Eved has no obligations. Now, the Meshacher could be he's going to basically lose his whole, everything he's owed, right? Let's say he's owed $100 and the Eved is worth $100 and he frees the Eved. Obviously, he loses his $100, whatever it is. He has to pay the guy, he owes him the money that the Eved is worth. But Micah Miflagi, I think the way we follow Rav's interpretation, there's no halacha on this. But Micah Miflagi, Behezik and Nikr Miflagi, they're arguing if there's a damage that's not recognizable, like freeing somebody. Marsav Shmei Hezik, Marsav Shmei Hezik, Shim Gamliel, it's called Hezik. So the Rabbi Hasheni has to pay the Rabbi Harishan. According to the Chachamim, it's not considered Hezik. It's like where it analyzes Ula my time. Why doesn't Ula interpret it like Rav? Amar Lachsheni, Rabbi Kodishlei. When we say Koifin is Rabbi, ben Chayrin, that's not Rabbi. The Sheni is not Rabbi, so therefore he has to interpret V'Shichroi is Rabbi Hasheni, Koifin is Rabbi Harishan. Rav my time Kula. Why doesn't Rav say like Kula? Amar Lach Sheni v'Shachar Kodishlei. The second one is considered someone who's freeing. Shachri has to be Rabbi Harishan. Okay. Itmar. It was stated, somebody makes his field an apiseki for other people. Bishot v'nor, a river swept it away. Rashi says the whole field is ruined for him. So Ami Shapir Noah, he had like a nickname, Shapir Noah, means like good, pleasant. He was a good guy. Maybe he said good things most of the time. Ami Shapir Noah, very interesting name. You don't get to take from the other property because you made this field an apiseke, and the apiseke was swept away. So what's it in? The guy's mazel made him lose out. He agreed to have this field as apiseke. It was an act of God. The field got swept away, so he can't get his debt repaid any other way. Why doesn't he just pay him with cash? I guess the guy will say, this is the field. I wanted to pay with this field. It's not my fault the field got swept away. But the Shmuel says if he doesn't pay him with cash, then he can take from other fields because it's a loan that has a chrayas that you could collect from the properties. Because his name is Aper Shaper Noah, he's like saying a B'lashon Saginor. He's saying something that's not so nice. He's saying a teaching that's not so pleasant. It's not so. He's saying something that doesn't make sense. I guess he was sort of making fun of his name. I'm not sure. It's interesting that the Gemara, again, I spoke about this yesterday, why the Gemara says all these, so to speak, insults. They also record them. To Targum Shmaitse, we have to say that it's when he says he's talking about specifically if the guy says this will be the only place that you're going to get paid from. Now, would Avur the Shmuel agree in such a case? Maybe. Tanya Namihachi was also stated in the Brisa, if you made your field an apiseki for someone else, you could collect from the other property. Yeah, then it's mashma, then Avur the Shmuel would agree. And he said this is the only place you're allowed to get paid from. So then Tanya Yidoch, we're taught in another Brisa. Someone who makes his field an apiseki for someone who owes money to for the ksuba, you can take from other nechasim. Shimon Gamliel over Bal Chayiv gave him mishar nechasim. The Bal Chayiv can take from other properties. Isha and gave mishar nechasim. A woman not. Why? She's not going to want to deal with other properties. She had her whole hopes on this property. Even if he didn't say that you're only getting paid from this, Rashi says you have to check who bought it first, who bought it last. It depends on the order of the field. It takes a lot of work. She's going to have to go to the Bezdin. It's not the derech of a woman to do that. So therefore, a woman, when a field is made apisek, it's as if she said that I'm only going to be paid mizu from this, and therefore, she automatically has a din that she doesn't get from anywhere else. Okay, look, it's not fair for the woman. I mean, she's sealing off any other possibility of getting paid except for this field. I guess that's what we assume. Even if stam. All right, let us do a bit of Yerushalmi.
Yerushalmi.
We're up to. Oh boy, we're far behind on the Yerushalmi. Okay. We're up to Halacha Daled.
Halacha Daled. I've got it. Evet Shenishba.
Actually, it's not so bad because it's a very.
What page?
On page Chav.
That's right. Evet Shenishba, right?
But actually, it's not. We're not so far behind in the show. Yeah. On page Chav, Halacha Daled. Let me know when you have it, and we'll start.
Evet Shaba Ufdi Uhu.
That's right. Evet Shenishbo Ufdo. If there was an Evet who was captured, Ufdo l'shem Evet, they redeemed him in order for him to be an Evet. So you have an Evet Kanani that was captured by, let's say, by non-Jews. And other Yidden redeemed him, not the original master, redeemed him. The Shem Evet Yishtabed, he'll be re-enslaved. The Shem Ben Chayrin lo Yishtabed. But if they redeemed him in order for him to be Ben Chayrin lo Yishtabed, then he goes free. The Gemara goes on. No matter what, Yishtabed. No matter what they redeemed him for, he'll be Mishtabed. Okay. So we have to understand this. Let's say his Rav made him an apiseke that he says you'll get, if I don't pay you with cash, you'll get paid from this one. So then, according to the Pnei Moshe, you're only going to get. He said you're only getting paid from this Eved. And then Shiva Shicharo, he freed him. Shura Sadin Erev Chayv Klum El Tikkun Olam Kevin Azabay says he's been fine. Really, he's not. The Eved doesn't know anything, but because of the Tikkun Olam, he has to. You get a star. You make him free, and he writes a star on his that he owes his master his value. Shim Gamliel says he doesn't know anything. He just gets free. Okay, so we have to understand what the Mishnah is talking about. Just like in the Bavli, we explained. We'll also have similar explanations in the Yerushalmi. We're up to the Gemara. If there was an Eved who was captured and they redeemed it. Really, so we're talking about Lifnei Yush. Talking about Lifnei Yush, that the original master had not given up hope on his Eved. And another Yid, redeemed him to be an Eved. So really, B'Shem Eved Lo Yishtabed, he should go back to his first master. Basically, it's a special tikkun of Chizkiah. It's very interesting that the way the Pnei Moshe is explaining it. I think I'll actually go with the Carbonate. The Carbonate explains it entirely different. Our Mishnah, it fits better with the Bavli, honestly. Our Mishnah is talking about La'achar Yush, that the Eved, the first Adonim, the first masters had given up hope. So really, even if the second Yisraelim redeemed him L'Shem Eved, he shouldn't be Mishtabit, because it's La'achar Yush, so he should go free. He shouldn't purposely try to get captured. Omer Rab Zeira Masnis Omra Kain. Rab Zeira said, we have a brisa that it says Rabbi Noisin is Domov Loy Omer Elo Rabbi Ha'acher Loy. The fact that it says Rabbi Noisin is Domov, someone else can't give Domov, so therefore we see that he's Meshubed LeRabbi Harishon. It says in the Brisa, Rabbi Noisin is Domov, that his rabbi gives him the money. The rabbi gives the money, pays for him. So we're talking about rabbi. Someone else can't just acquire him as an Eved. What does that mean? It's the Rabbi Harishon who reacquires him, not somebody else. Why? Takanas Chizkiah, so that they shouldn't just throw themselves in the hands of the Gyosses and the troops and try to get themselves captured so that they'll eventually go free. Reb Ilo b'shem Reb Yaso b'din ha'yafilu l'shem ben chayrin yishtabet. Really, our Mishnah is talking about Lifnei Yush. And because it's Lifnei Yush, even if the Yisrael Hasheni, the second Yisrael, would require him in order to make him free, he should be enslaved to his original master. So that, why don't we enslave him? Because he tried to free, because he redeemed him. In order to free him, we don't want to be Maitzi Laz. Rabbi Yosi on the other Avadim who are really supposed to be free. Rabbi Yosi, if so, Rabbi Shimon Gamliel says that no matter what, Yishtabed. Shek Shem She Yisrael Mitzuvan Liftis Ben Chayden Kachu Mitzuvan Liftis Nesavad. Why does it say? Why does Rabbi Shimon Gamliel say Ben Kach Yishtabed? Because no matter what, people are going to redeem the Eved. We're not worried that they're not going to redeem the Avadim. We're not worried that they're going to hold back from redeeming them. People will redeem Avadim just like Bnei Chayden. So Ahan Tanya Kadmo Sofer Mem Mitzumin and Liftis Benechem Mitzum Liftis Savadim. Are we going to say that Tanakama holds that they're not going to redeem Avadim? I think it's a statement. When we say L'Shem Eved Yishtabel Rabbi Rishon, that if you redeem him, L'Shem Eved he'll go to his first rabbi. We're talking about Lifnei Yush. And if you redeemed him L'Shem Ben Choyin Lo Yishtabel Rabbi Rishon, because we're worried that he's not going to be Mefar, because we're worried that he's not going to be Mefarakim, he's not going to redeem him. In other words, we're touching eyes that you could say that the reason for the Tanakama, the reason why if he redeems him L'Shem Ben Choyin, we force him to be free is because, not because we don't want to be Mitzi Laz, but rather because he's not Mitzuva Liftei Sesas B'nei Chayr. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Yidi B'Shem Reish Lakish Amar Halacha B'Shem Gamliel. Rabbi Yaakov Bar Yidi says in the name of Reish Lakish that the halacha is like B'Shem Gamliel. Rabbi Simon B'Shem Shmuel Levi Amar Yesi Ben Shol B'Shem Rebbe. Rabbi Simon says in the name of Shmuel Levi that Yesi Ben Shol said the name of Rebbe. Hamisyayish B'Avdoi in a Rashi L'Shavdi V'Tzach Lichtav Lo Yiget Shechor. Somebody who is misyayish from his evet. And then he found him afterwards. According to the Pnei Moshe, he said something. I don't know if you actually have to say something. You're not allowed to enslave him again. V'tzach lichtav lo get shikhr, and you have to write a get of shikhr. Shomeh Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan heard this teaching that if you're misyayish from your evet, you have to free him. He taught me well. Rabbi Shmuel Levi taught me well. Klum lom to get shikhr lom isha. Where do they learn get shikhr from? From a woman. Ma'isha niyetzim mishum yush. Shetzichem menu get. Just like a woman, it's not enough just to be miyayish. Just to give up on your servant, it's not enough. You have to have a get. Af eved and niyetzim mishum yush get shikhr. Just so to an eved, yush is not enough. You need get shikhr. Shimon bar Boy b'shem Rabbi Yochanan.
That's you.
Yeah. Shimon bar Boy said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Eved shabarach min hashvui nitzel Rabbi in Rabbi Rasha l'shabbat tzach lichta get shikhr. If an Eved ran away from his captors, back to his master has to free him. Yeah. So, there's a different teaching than Rabbi Yochanan, which is not this, which is the opposite. Omar hamafkir savdin Rashi l'shavdi bin Rashi l'chtav get shikhr. He doesn't have to write a get shikhr. If you're mafkir, you're evid, you don't have to write a get shikhr. So why does it say Eved Ish? Shmuel learns from the words Eved Ish that the moment you're mafkir, you're Eved. You no longer have to write a get shikhr. That's Shmuel's opinion. Omer lei Reb Zayda. Reb Zayda told Rabbi Bo, Kol Amma Amrin Dehut Tzarach. Everybody says that even after Hefker, even after you declare your Eved ownerless, you have to write a get shikhr. Ve'at Omer Ein Tzarach. You'd say you don't have to? Shema Einem Akva Miloicha B'Pesach. And there's a din. Why does it say Eved Ish? According to Shmuel, it says that Eved Ish to teach you that only before you're mafkir, he's your Eved. But if you're mafkir, he's not your Eved, not to exclude a woman. But maybe you could explain Eved Ish for something else. That Einem Akva Miloicha B'Pesach. That if the Eved is freed, he's not going to be not freed. Sorry, if he's not under your reshus and he doesn't have a bris, all your avodim have to have a bris. But if he's not under your reshus, he's not going to stop him from eating the korban pesach, even if it's ain't an animal. Like it says in the Brisa, only when he's Eved Ish, when he's serving you, He's going to stop him feeding the carbon Pesach without a bris. But if he's somewhere away and you can't find him and he's not over your rabbi, but if you're mafker him, says Reb Zayin, of course you have to write a get shikha, like everybody, like Reb Shmuel Levi and like Shimon Bar Boy in the name of Rabbi Yechanan. Yeah. Okay, now we're in a new case. We're in the bottom of Chof Omid Beis 20b. What if the master blinded both of his eyes at once, or he knocked out two teeth at once? He's yoytze b'cheres. In other words, he doesn't get paid. He doesn't get paid extra. He's yoytze ben l'cheres because it happened at the same time. When he knocks out any of his limbs, he's yoytze b'cheres. But because it was done ka'achas, he doesn't get anything extra. But if it's zuach or zu, if it's one after the other, the first limb that he knocked out goes free, makes him go free. Second limb, he gets money for. Reb Ilo b'shem Rishlakish command over did tzach lichtav like get shikha. Baram command over tzach lichtav like get shikha. Ve'atayim mishalem loy. This is only according to Shmuel that you don't have to write a get shikha. And Moshe says there's a machlokes tanoim in the first parak of Maseches Kedushin in the Yerushalmi. If you're yoytze b'shein v'ayin, if you need to get shechar, this is a whole different case than a mafkir, than someone who's declaring ownerless. So if you don't need to get shechar, so you get paid for the second one. But if you still need to get shechar, you shouldn't have to pay because he doesn't have his get shechar yet. Okay, interesting. I only know that you're yotze the chedis if you're yotze b'shein bayin. What if you? He says if you have different types of tachshitin and you some sort of doc. How do I know whether a star could work? Basically, this is the question. If you could write. If you're merakim, if you embroider on different garments, it's not kavua, says the Karbaneda. It's mutal ala begin and shtei rosh of tchuvin. The heads of the letters are stuck into the garment. How do I know that that works? Okay, interesting. No matter what, a get, whatever type of a get shechur it is, any type of document, from the fact that it says yishal chenu instead of yishal choy, I guess there's an extra note, and that's the way the Pnei Moshe says. Bon of Mahain. If you have an Evan who's Yoitze Alidei Hefker or B'Shein B'Ayin, let's say he didn't get a star shikhr and he has a son. What happens to his son? I mean, L'choiro, I mean, Saivi doesn't follow the father by Avadim, it only follows the mother. Someone who's Yotze B'Shein B'Ayin, his servants are Avadim, as long as he hasn't yet received the Shar Shikhr. That's the way the Karbaneda explains. But if you go out because of Yush, then your sons will be free, even before you receive the Shar Shikhr. You should say the opposite. It's minat Torah. It's midaraisa that you're meshukher, that you're freed. So, your son should be bnei chayrin even before you receive the shtar. But if it's just yush before you receive the get, shikhr, your son should be, any sons that are born should be what's it called? Should still be avadim. So he wants to say it's opposite. Interesting. Okay. We're up to the next page, Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph, a new case. If you have a ger that dies, and the Yidden took over his property because he has no heirs. If he had children, if he had avadim, slaves, whether gedolim or ketanim, they go free. The gedolim go free. Ketanim don't go free. Why don't the Ketanim go free? because Yotzu b'misas rabon. They go out b'misas rabon, but they don't have the das. They don't have the ability to be koine themselves because they're ketanim.
You froze,
Gemara-
David. Oh,
I
okay.
froze.
For a few seconds.
Shit.
Well,
So Lama Shein Yotzav Misas Rabban. So the Gemara asks Miata Filu Gedolim. If so, even the older slaves should be able to get them. Because they have the das to acquire themselves, they go free. However, this is the opinion of Abba Shol. Ketanim don't have das to be coded themselves, so they don't go free. What if they say, I want to be free? Even so, according to Abba Shol. What's the opinion of Tanakama? I guess he holds Tanim have the ability to make a kinyan. I'm not sure. Shuma Levi Omer Halacha Abba Shol. The halacha is like Abba Shol. So the Gemara says, Mechlef Ashitasi the Rishua. The Chayr is a contradiction in the Shita of Rabbi Yeshua, because earlier we said that if you're misyayish from your Eved, which is the same thing as a ger dying, he has to free all of his slaves. All of his slaves. Here we're saying that Allah is like Abba Shol, the Ketanim Liyotza, the Chayr is the Chayr, they're hefker. Talmud number of Zim Shua ben Levi, Rabbi Yism Shol B'Shem Rabbi Misyayish Mavdin Rasha L'Shabbat boy. Amorin Ma Dom Rabbi Shua L'Shabbat L'Yoav Dil Maholcha L'Shabbat. You're not allowed to be Mishabed. The Loyoav. He didn't give him the get shikhr. Because he didn't give him the get shikhr. So says the Gemara, Dilma halacha l'shabdoi. But get shikhr v'achu amar hachin. He's still, if you have to, so what's the difference in a gadol and a katan? The fact is, if the katan has to have a get shikhr, why doesn't the gadol have to have a get shikhr? That's the question. Shamanu dom Rabbi Yochanan yofalim dani Rabbi ben Levi dom halacha kabashol. Rabbi Yochanan says that Rabbi ben Levi said a beautiful din that if you're mafkir sabdi, you have to write him a get shikhr because it's like an isha. So an isha, if she passes away, you don't need any get. She's an almana, so you can say that halacha is like abashol. Yeah. This is according to the Bnei Moshe, it's ending off with a question. According to the Korban Eido, Amorin, he has an extra gear. So the Korban Eido has like an extra gear. So Amorin, he changes the wording around and he says, what Rabbi Shimon Levi is talking about was b'di'eved, that you can't give get shikhr, then the halacha will be like Abba Shol. Okay, I don't understand the Korban Eido's interpretation. According to the Bnei Moshe, it's easier to understand. It's ending off with a question. If you're not going to need to get shikhr, if you die for the gedolim, you also shouldn't need for the ketanim, so they should automatically go free. That's the question. Okay, we're up to Amsei.
pretty long Gemara, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a long Yerushalmi. There's no question. That's a long Yerushalmi.
We're up to where?
We're up to Amsei the Rabba Bar Zutra. We're gonna stop here actually because I have to go.
Anshay.
Amsei the Rabba Bar Zutra. We're in the middle of Daf Chof Aleph Amud Aleph. If you're in the old Yerushalmi, it's by right before Chof, the bottom of Chof Gimel Amud Aleph.
Oh, Chof Gimel, yeah.
We'll continue tomorrow, God willing.
Bye, David.
All right, take care.
Thank you very much.